I'd like to call a meeting to order, please. Good morning, everyone, and good morning to those who are watching us on national television. Happy you're all here. If you would join me, please, for the flag salute. Thank you. Public notice, Madam Secretary?
Adequate public notice has been given pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice have been posted at the board's office and website and emailed to the Department of State and to newspaper of broad circulation within the state.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Holden?
Here.
Commissioner Solomon?
Here.
Commissioner Crystal DeLue?
Here.
President Federico?
Here. And our next regularly scheduled meeting?
The next regular board meeting will be held on Wednesday, June 7th, 2023 at 10 a.m. It'll be a hybrid meeting in person at the board hearing room at 44 South Clinton Avenue in Trenton and live streamed via YouTube.
Thank you. The board will be going into executive session, and will be in executive session discussing under reliability and security, item 6A, under clean energy, item 8A, 8E, and 8F. The board will take action on all of these items during regular session. Executive session, I would anticipate, will last approximately 30 minutes. Will the Attorney General's office please explain the justification for going into executive session?
Good morning, President and Commissioners.
Good morning.
I'm Deputy Attorney General Tariff. 6A, clean energy items 8A, E, and 8F fall within the contract negotiation, attorney-client privilege, and litigation exceptions to the Open Public Meetings Act. These exceptions are found at NJSA 10:4-12B7. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll see you in about a half hour. Thank you. We're back in regular session. Didn't take us even a half hour. So, welcome again to everyone, and I do have some remarks before we get into the regular agenda. First of all, as you may have heard, two new commissioners were approved by the state senate yesterday. And Christine Sadovi, as many of you know her, and Marion Abdu will be joining us within the next week to 2 weeks. Which means that today marks the last meeting for Commissioner Solomon. I want to thank you on behalf of the state of New Jersey, on behalf of the governor, on behalf of the board, for your service to the board and to the citizens of New Jersey, and wish you only success in whatever future activities you have on the line. And that's how the board works. Some of us are here for a long time. Some of us are here for a shorter amount of time. It all depends on the luck of the draw. I've been able to fool people for 18 years. So I've been here for 18 years. And so on. But Commissioner Solomon has been here, is it 10 or, no, I always get confused, 9 or 10?
Just about 10.
Just about 10.
Shy of 10.
So, which is for boards like this, a pretty good run. And so, thank you again, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
May is Electrical Safety Month, so I encourage everyone to stick their fingers into an outlet. Okay. As you're standing in water, no, I'm done. The purpose of this month is to remind everyone in the state of New Jersey of the dangers posed by electricity, and to always use caution around electrical equipment, wires, and appliances. And as you know, every time we have a storm and there are down wires, we remind the citizens of New Jersey, don't go near them. You don't know if they're live wires, you don't know what the situation is. I mean, they could be telephone wires that aren't going to harm anyone, but they could be high voltage electrical wires that can do somebody in. So it's extremely important to stay away from them and let the experts deal with it. I want to give a warm welcome also to two new staff members, one who was unable to be here due to a family emergency, both of whom are in the Division of Clean Energy. And on behalf of the board, we would like to welcome him. When Olivia comes back, we will introduce her. But right now we have Genevieve. So if you would like to stand and introduce yourself and tell us a little about yourself.
Hi, I'm Genevieve DiGiulio. Happy to be here. I come from the private sector. I worked at Siemens Energy for 10 years on steam turbines, and I was a maintenance engineer before that. I'm just really happy to transition my career to clean energy and wind turbines.
Good?
Yep.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. And as I told you the other day, we're all here to help. So never hesitate to ask a question or seek assistance from anyone, because everybody here and throughout this agency is more than willing to be of assistance.
Yeah, I can tell that already, so.
Okay, good.
Here.
Good.
Thank you.
So we fooled you so far.
So far, so good.
Okay, good. Well, obviously, it's good you're back for the third day, so everything went all right the first 2 days. Next week, we will also host an important day for one of our longest-termed employees at the board. Mike Kammerer will celebrate his work anniversary, which will mark his 42nd year here at the board. I want to personally thank Mike. Now, here's where I'm going to lie a little bit, Mike, so just thank Mike for the years of hard work. That was the lie. And one of the hardest working individuals in this agency, and has historical knowledge that is beyond my comprehension. He'll often say in meetings, well, in 1982, on March 6th, this is what happened.
Good long-term memory.
Good long-term, that's right. So it's a pleasure to congratulate you. And you have left an indelible mark, not only on this division, or on this department, but on the state of New Jersey, Mike. And we hope you're here for many, many more years.
Thank you so much.
Because when you retire, I'll retire. How's that? Additionally, last week, we saw the end of our spring internships. I want to thank each of our interns for their hard work over the last few months, and I wish them all the best in their future. I hope they make their way back to the board, because we've had so much success with interns, and some of them have come back and applied for jobs here at the board. And as you know, we're always looking for good people. The hiring process never ends. It's a constant process here at the board, and we've been very fortunate to select and to get so many qualified people, people with advanced or previous experience like Genevieve, as an example, who is not a stranger to the energy world, but also for our regulatory divisions. It's extremely important to get qualified people for those divisions, because we are dealing, and part of our mission statement is to provide reliable, resilient energy at the lowest possible cost for the citizens of New Jersey. So every division in this department is vitally important and serves the citizens of New Jersey every single day in one way or another. And that's something we all can be very proud of, because it's not an easy task. Do we get complaints sometimes? Yes, we're not perfect. But this department has a lot to be proud of. Do any of my colleagues have any opening statements?
I would.
Yes.
I certainly want to echo my thanks for getting to know Diane Solomon over these past 10 years and serving with her. And you should know how active she has been in NARUC and in MACRUC and representing the board. Chair of the Committee on Gas, I believe, as well as the Committee on Critical Infrastructure, and has brought that knowledge and expertise into the board. And she has really flowered, not only in that, but having come here playing tennis, she leave here playing pickleball.
Of course.
And it was interesting yesterday, it was announced that there's now a professional pickleball league, so we'll be watching for you on
Oh,
television.
absolutely. Maybe
But-
as a referee.
But thank you, and also, you have to have seen her beat Upendra Shivakula at tennis at Macrook. It was great.
One of my greatest moments. Yeah. And injuring Rick Moroz.
That's true.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, well, you've caused a few injuries on the pickleball court to
Yes.
Macrook as well, but also, I just want to note that this weekend, on Monday, take some time when you're at the shore or before you do your barbecues, and remember the war dead of the United States from French and Indian Wars, American Revolution right through to Iraq and Afghanistan. That's really the true meaning of Memorial Day, and please keep it in mind before you celebrate. Thank you.
And thank you for that, because it is the only holiday in the United States to honor those who gave their lives, their ultimate sacrifice, so that you and I could live in a republic with a constitution in a democratic society. And we owe it to them to ensure the fact that we maintain that.
Thank you both for remembering and recognizing Memorial Day and the significance. And Commissioner Olden, thank you for mentioning Commissioner Solomon's expertise and knowledge, which has been incredibly influential and helpful, not just for the state, but really for the country, because on the boards that she serves, and particularly critical infrastructure, at this very critical time, she has been leading the charge to make sure that our infrastructure is safe and secure and reliable. So on behalf of everyone, Commissioner, thank you. But more importantly and more personally, as you probably have noticed through these 12 board meetings, Commissioner has been on my right-hand side, and even in executive session, she's on my right-hand side. And I have to tell you that I have learned more through my right ear than I ever thought possible. And I really want to thank you sincerely, not just for what you've done for the state, but for how honest and open you were with me personally to help bring me along and teach me. And I have a lot more to go, but you've really helped as much as anyone. So I can't thank you enough.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
I also have some remarks.
Yes.
I also have some remarks. Shocking, I'm sure, right? Okay. I did not expect to be a member of this board for a decade, but despite the length of time here, I look back on my participation as a member of the BPU fondly. For anyone joining the BPU, it is a steep learning curve. In my case, I am grateful to a number of people. First and foremost, my administrative assistant, Anissa Torres. I could never have survived these past 10 years without you. You are my rock. Thank you to Jerry May for teaching me about energy and rates, Mark Beyer about economics and markets, Jim Giuliano about the importance of resilience and security, Scott Hunter for teaching me everything I needed to know about solar, my fellow Commissioner Mariana Holden and Mike Hammer about water, and Renee DeMunich for teaching me about everything, absolutely everything. To all those who were important to me during my tenure and who also contributed to my education and experience, but not named, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You know who you are. And I know that the current staff of the BPU will bring the same education to my replacement. I have taken seriously the charge presented to me upon my appointment by Governor Christie. In fact, I'm wearing the same dress, though, that I was sworn in on. Good job. Charge mandated by the BPU to see that the residents of New Jersey receive reliable utility service at reasonable rates. I am proud of making sure New Jersey has protected the assets we need, like nuclear and gas, while helping other new technologies like solar, energy efficiency, and wind get off the ground. We can go all the way back to Superstorm Sandy and look at how much we have improved our entire infrastructure. We need to continue to recognize I have bristled when asked to support policies having nothing to do with our charge as commissioners. I have objected to instances when, without legislative authority, this board has been asked to promote policy interests that will result in higher utility rates and diminished reliability. The master plan, though aspirational, which advocates for policies unquestionably consistent with the administration's goals, is inconsistent with our charge. In a state already expensive for residents and businesses, these policies will impact our poorest residents the most as the cost of electricity and natural gas increase and economic opportunities decrease. We must ensure New Jersey does not follow the failed policies of California and the resultant brownouts. Only time will tell if my deepest concerns are realized, and I am certain I will long be forgotten if they are. But I leave with a clear conscience and a love of the New Jersey residents whom I have sought to serve. However, should my greatest fears come to pass, I ask only that the last one out of New Jersey turn off the lights if they are still on. Thanks.
Thank you. First up, audits. There are no items for consideration. Consent agenda, please, before we get there. One more time.
On consent agenda items 1A, 3A, 3B, 4A, 5A, 6A, and 6B.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal DeLu?
Yes.
President Federico?
Yes, thank you. Now, I was just checking on you to make sure about the consent items. Very good, sure. No items under audits. That brings us to energy. Ian, you're up. And you will be presenting item 2A.
Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners. This item concerns comments we filed with the Department of Energy. On March 6, 2023, the United States Department of Energy published a notice of availability in the Federal Register announcing the release of the draft National Transmission Needs Study. The needs study is mandated by Section 216A of the Federal Power Act, as amended in 2021 by the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. Specifically, Section 216A requires DOE to conduct a nationwide study of both present and future transmission congestion and capacity constraints every 3 years. The needs study is meant to guide the designation of National Interest Electric Transmission Corridors, or NITSEs, and inform DOE's exercise of its various transmission authorities. In the needs study, DOE took a holistic approach to assessing transmission requirements that largely aligned with the transmission planning philosophy that staff of the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities has advocated for in the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission's ongoing transmission rulemaking docket. However, the needs study's central case included transmission requirements for achieving very high levels of clean energy by 2040 and did not clearly distinguish between needs solely driven by clean energy goals and those that also supported reliability or provided cost savings to consumers. On April 20th, 2023, staff submitted comments to DOE on the needs study. In the comments, staff expressed support for DOE's holistic approach to transmission planning while also offering constructive criticism on how it addressed transmission needs. Specifically, in light of multiple recent studies indicating that significant amounts of new transmission development could both reduce total electricity costs and support higher levels of clean energy, staff recommended that DOE focus on identifying such no-regrets opportunities rather than the transmission build-out needed to support a given level of clean energy. Staff recommends that the board ratify the comments that staff filed on April 20th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Ian? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal DeLu?
Yes.
President Federico?
Yes. Thank you, Ian. Ryan, you're up.
Thank you.
And you will be presenting a number of items to us.
Bet. Good morning. 6 items in total, mostly related to BGS. Agenda item 2B, on February 8th, 2023, the board certified the results of the basic generation service auctions for residential and small commercial pricing customers and commercial industrial energy price supply customers. The board also directed the EDCs to execute the necessary documents with the winning bidders, including the BGS supplier master agreements, to implement the BGS rates resulting from the auctions beginning June 1, 2023, and file revised tariff sheets reflecting the BGS rates by April 10, 2023. On April 7th, 2023, the EDCs filed a letter with the board requesting to delay the date they filed revised tariff sheets to April 24th, 2023, as a result of an error found in PJM's final reliability pricing model results for the 2023-2024 delivery year. On April 19th, 2023, the EDCs filed revised tariffs to become effective on June 1, 2023, that incorporated the changes resulting from the recently completed auctions. Staff has reviewed the tariff filings of the EDCs and found them consistent with the rate structure and results approved by the board for the auction process. Staff recommends that the board approve the tariff filings of the EDCs and notify interested parties through a secretary's letter. As part of the secretary's letter, the EDCs will be asked to post the approved tariff sheets on their respective websites.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal Delune?
Yes.
President Federlisi?
Yes. 2C, please.
Yep. On December 30th, 2022, PSE&G filed a petition seeking approval of gas base rate changes to provide for cost recovery associated with the extension of its gas system modernization program, which was approved by the board by order dated May 22nd, 2018. In the petition, and as subsequently updated, PSE&G sought to recover the projected revenue requirement associated with capital investments through February 28th, 2023, not yet recovered in base rates of approximately $10.887 million. The parties have executed a stipulation that would allow the company to recover a revenue requirement of approximately $10.887 million, consistent with the update, which, if approved by the board, would result in an annual increase of $6 for the typical residential customer. Staff recommends the board issue an order approving the stipulation and direct PSE&G to file tariffs by June 1, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal Delune?
Yes.
President Federlisi?
Yes. 2D, please.
I'm just going to do like a brief summary of 2D through 2F, so I'm not repeating myself
Okay.
in the next one. So this will apply to the following four. On November 9th, 2022, the board issued an order in its annual BGS procurement proceeding approving the EDC's proposal with modifications on how to procure its electricity requirements for the period beginning June 1st, 2023. In the November 2022 order, the board noted the distribution side of residential EV charging was addressed in some of the EDC's EV proceedings. The board ordered the EDCs to create a similar solution on the residential supply side to take effect June 1st, 2023. In March 2023 and April 2023, each of the EDCs filed petitions requesting approval of tariff modifications to address the board's directive. On May 8th, 2023, Rate Counsel filed comments in all four matters, and on May 12th, 2023, the EDCs submitted comments in their individual dockets in response to Rate Counsel. So for 2D, in compliance with the November 2022 order, ACE filed its petition with a proposed effective date of June 1st, 2023. In the petition, ACE provided revised tariff sheets for EV customers receiving BGS service under their residential rate schedule. ACE proposed to allow eligible customers to receive a net off-peak BGS energy credit exclusively for their EV usage. According to the proposed tariff, once approved into the program by ACE, an off-bill credit would be issued twice a year by check directly to the customer. For rate-making purposes, ACE proposed that the EV residential service BGS provision credits associated with the proposal be reflected as a reduction to the rate schedule revenues. Additionally, ACE proposed that all costs associated with implementing the rate option flow through the company's periodic reconciliation charge filing, which the company claimed was consistent with the board's November 2020 BGS order. Staff recommends the board deny ACE's cost recovery proposal that all costs associated with the proposed tariff modifications flowed through the BGS reconciliation charge. Staff recommends the board authorize ACE to defer the costs associated with implementing the BGS EV time of use rate option until fully implemented. Staff recommends the board direct ACE, once fully implemented, to file a petition to recover the deferred costs, which may include a proposal to recover the costs through BGS reconciliation charges. Staff further recommends the board approve ACE's proposed tariff modifications to add a BGS EV time of use rate option for customers with EVs, but direct company to remove certain language from the tariff as specified in the order. And lastly, staff further recommends the board direct ACE to file their tariffs consistent with the order by May 31st, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
We will take each one individually and vote on them. And so,
So I'll just, do you want me to keep going?
yes.
Okay, cool.
Tell you in a minute.
Totally works. Sorry about that. It's a mouthful. So item 2E, in compliance with the November
First of
2020.
all, before you take back your,
Yeah.
yeah, and then you'll take back your second. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay, cool. In compliance with the November 2022 order, JCP&L filed its petition with a proposed effective date of June 1, 2023. In the petition, JCP&L proposed to modify its rider EV by adding a residential BGS EV time of use credit option in addition to the bill credit provided to eligible customers under the company's rider EV electric vehicle off-peak credit. Customers participating in the rider EV electric vehicle charge off-peak credit would automatically qualify for the added rate option. Qualifying customers would receive a credit of 2 cents per kilowatt hour for net off-peak kilowatt hour usage at their smart charger. JCP&L requested that all costs associated with implementing the rate option flow through the company's quarterly reconciliation charge filing, which the company claimed was consistent with the board's November 2020 BGS order. Staff recommends the board deny JCP&L's cost recovery proposal that all costs associated with the proposed tariff modifications flow through the BGS reconciliation charge. Staff recommends the board authorize JCP&L to defer the costs associated with implementing the BGS EV time of use rate option until fully implemented. Staff recommends that the board direct JCP&L, once fully implemented, to file a petition to recover the deferred costs, which may include a proposal to recover the cost through the BGS reconciliation charge. Staff further recommends that the board approve JCP&L's proposed tariff modifications to add a BGS EV time of use rate option for customers with EVs, but direct the company to remove certain language from the tariff as specified in the order. Staff further recommends the board direct JCP&L to file tariff sheets consistent with the order by May 31st, 2023. Just taking a deep breath.
Deep breath.
Agenda item 2F. In compliance with the November 2022 order, PSE&G filed its petition with a proposed effective date of June 1st, 2023. In the petition, the company proposed to add a provision to its rate schedule residential service that allowed residential customers who received their electric supply via BGS to receive on-peak and off-peak supply charges based on the company's BGS rates applicable to rate schedule RLM, exclusively for their EV charging usage. Customers approved for the program will be issued a credit on the customer bill on at least a quarterly basis after the entire usage has been billed at the BGS rates applicable to rate schedule RS. Additionally, PSE&G requested that all costs associated with implementing the revised tariff flow through the company's quarterly reconciliation charge filing, which the company claimed was consistent with the November 2020 BGS order. Staff recommends the board deny PSE&G's cost recovery proposal that all costs associated with the proposed tariff modification flow through the BGS reconciliation charge. Staff recommends the board authorize PSE&G to defer the costs associated with implementing the BGS EV time of use rate option until fully implemented. Staff recommends the board direct PSE&G, once fully implemented, to file a petition to recover the deferred costs, which may include a proposal to recover the costs through the BGS reconciliation charge. Staff recommends that the board approve PSE&G's proposed tariff modifications to add a BGS EV time of use rate option for customers with EVs, but direct the company to remove certain language from its tariff as specified in the order. Lastly, staff further recommends that the board direct PSE&G to file tariffs consistent with the order by May 31st, 2023. Okay, last one, a little bit shorter. In compliance with the November 2022 order, RICO filed the petition with a proposed effective date of June 1, 2023. In the petition, RICO proposed a residential supply-side solution applicable to its customers electing the voluntary time-of-day service. RICO requested that all costs associated with implementing the rate option flow through the company's quarterly reconciliation charge filing, which the company claimed was consistent with the November 2020 BGS order. Staff recommends the board deny RICO's cost recovery proposal that all costs associated with the proposed tariff modifications flow through the BGS reconciliation charge. Staff recommends the board authorize RICO to defer the costs associated with implementing the BGS voluntary time of day rate associated, option until fully implemented. Staff recommends that the board direct RICO, once fully implemented, to file a petition to recover the deferred costs, which may include a proposal to recover the cost of the BGS reconciliation charge. Staff recommends the board approve RICO's proposed tariff modifications. And lastly, staff recommends that the board direct RICO to file tariffs consistent with the order by May 31st, 2023.
Thank you, Ryan. And the reason I took them all together was the fact that they all had tariff modifications. So let's go back to 2D, and I'll accept a motion on 2D, which started us off, and that was Ace.
I'll move the tariff amendment for Atlantic City Electric Company.
Second?
Questions, comments on that? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal Delou?
Yes.
President Fidelis?
Yes. And 2E, JCP&L's modification to its tariff.
I'll move the tariff amendment for Jersey Central Power and Light Company.
Second?
Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal Delou?
Yes.
President Fidelis?
Yes. 2F, PSE&G's tariff modification.
I'll move the tariff amendment to the petition of Public Service Electric and Gas Company.
Second?
Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal Delou?
Yes.
President Fidelis?
Yes. And 2G, RICO's modification to its tariff.
I'll move the tariff amendment to the petition of Rockland Electric Company.
Second?
Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal Delou?
Yes.
President Fidelis?
Yes. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Maliki, you're up. You have 2H and 2K.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Item 2H. On February 21, 2023, the Mercer County Improvement Authority filed an application with the board for approval for an energy services agreement between the authority and Vicinity Energy Trenton LP for the provision of energy and equipment services to the Curie Arena facility. According to the petition, the authority and the vicinity propose to terminate their existing energy service and equipment service agreement and enter into an agreement to continue the services for an initial term of 20 years with the option for extensions, with a total contract term to not exceed 40 years. On May 15, 2023, the New Jersey Division of Rate Counsel filed a letter of non-objection to the agreement. Staff recommends that the board issue an order approving the agreement effective June 1, 2023.
So moved.
Second?
Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal Delou?
Yes.
President Fidelis?
Yes. 2I, Maliki?
2I. On July 29, 2022, Elizabethtown Gas Company filed a petition seeking authority to suspend its weather normalization clause rate, revise the clean energy program components of its societal benefit charge rate, and revise its on-system margin sharing credit for the period October 1, 2022 through September 30, 2023. By order dated September 7, 2022, the board approved a stipulation for provisional rates which authorized Elizabethtown to suspend its weather normalization clause rate, implement a per-therm clean energy program component rate, and an on-system margin system credit rate, effective October 1, 2022. Following further review and discussions, the parties executed a stipulation for final rates. As a result of the stipulation, there will be no further rate impact on customers. Staff recommends that the board issue an order adopting the stipulation, and staff further recommends that the board direct Elizabeth Town to file tariffs consistent with this order by June 7, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal Delum,
Yes.
President Fidelis.
Yes. 2J.
On July 1, 2022, Public Service Electric and Gas Company filed a petition seeking approval to review and modify its electric and gas green program recovery charge, remove the Clean Energy Act studies components from the GPRC tariff, and transfer the remaining under overbalance to the Clean Energy Future energy efficiency components. PSE&G requested approval to transfer the over-recovered amounts, along with accrued interest from the Electric and Gas Clean Energy Act components to the CEFE components. Additionally, the company requested that the CEAS components be removed from its GPRC tariffs. On January 19, 2023, the company provided its discovery response, updated the 2022 petition to include actual results through September 30, 2022. PSE&G board staff and the New Jersey Division of Rate Counsel executed a stipulation recommending revising the electric GPRC rates and the gas GPRC rates based upon the January 2023 update. As a result of the stipulation, an average residential electric customer will see an annual increase of $16.44. A typical residential gas heating customer will see an annual increase of $2.12. Staff recommends that the board issue a decision and order approving the stipulation. Staff further recommends that the board direct PSE&G to file revised tariffs consistent with the board's order by May 31, 2023, for rates effective June 1, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, Madam Secretary.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal Delum,
Yes.
President Fidelis.
Yes. Thank you, Malachi.
2K.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2K. I was trying to get rid of you sooner than you should.
On February 1, 2023, Public Service Electric and Gas Company filed a petition seeking approval of adjustments to the company's Electric Conservation Incentive Program and associated rates to account for potential lost sale revenues stemming from the company's energy efficiency programs. On April 5, 2023, PSE&G updated its schedules, providing actual data through February 28, 2023, and recalculated its proposed rates. The parties have executed a stipulation recommending implementation of the company's revised ESIP rates on a provisional basis, subject to refund with interest, while the parties continue to review this matter. As a result of the stipulation, the annual impact on the typical residential electric customer will be an increase to their annual bill of $10.08. Staff recommends that the board approve the stipulation for provisional rates. Staff further recommends that the board direct PSE&G to file revised tariffs by May 31, 2023, for rates effective June 1, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal Delum,
Yes.
President Fidelis.
Yes. Now, thank you, Malachi. There are no items under cable television for consideration or telecommunications. That brings us to water. Michael, you have 5A and B.
And Mr. President, I'll be recusing myself from item 5A.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Mr. President and
Good morning.
Commissioners.
Good morning.
On December 1st, 2022, New Jersey American Water Company filed a petition seeking approval of a sewer collection services agreement with the Township of Bridgewater. According to the petition, the agreement became necessary due to New Jersey American's recent acquisition of the sewer collection system previously owned and operated by the Borough of Bound Brook. Bound Brook system served approximately 381 customers in Bridgewater, in addition to those customers served in the borough. The proposed agreement would allow New Jersey American to continue to serve customers in Bridgewater. Under the terms of the proposed agreement, Bridgewater will pay New Jersey American an annual fee of $390 for each serviced address, inclusive of the purchased wastewater treatment cost. New Jersey American will invoice Bridgewater monthly in equal installments. By letter dated March 7, 2023, Rate Counsel stated that it did not object to the petitioner's request for approval of the agreement, and staff recommends that the board approve the agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, Madam Secretary.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
President Federlisi?
Yes. B, item B, Michael?
On July 22nd, 2021, Governor Murphy signed the lead service line replacement law, which, among other things, requires that an investor-owned public community water system submit to the board for approval at its next general rate case proceeding a petition that includes a proposal for cost recoupment of lead service lines. On June 22nd, 2022, Veolia Water New Jersey filed a petition requesting authorization to defer the cost to replace customer property side lead service lines as a regulatory asset until its next rate case filing. Following discovery and settlement discussions, the parties entered into a stipulation of settlement which resolves all issues related to the petition. As a result of the stipulation, there is no immediate impact on customer rates until such time as a new base rate case is filed. Staff recommends that the board approve the stipulation.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal Delune?
Yes.
President Federlisi?
Yes. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Marco? Reliability and security, item 6A.
Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. President.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm here today to request your approval of a memorandum of understanding between the BPU and Rowan University. And that is to write the New Jersey State Energy Security Plan. The goal of the project is to rewrite and update the 2012 Energy Assurance Plan, which was amended in 2017. The State Energy Security Plan draft will describe the state's energy landscape, people, processes, and strategies in order to build energy resilience. Following the draft submission of the NJSESP, 2 tabletop exercises will follow to test the plan's effectiveness and accuracy. A request for response to draft the plan was put out for public solicitation, and staff reviewed the responses. Following the evaluation process by the review committee, staff recommends the board enter the MOU with Rowan University and therefore authorize the president to sign on behalf of the board.
So moved.
Second.
This item, as you may recall, was considered in executive session, and as I said at that time, we would be taking action. Questions, comments? Roll call, Madam Secretary.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal Delune?
Yes.
President Federlisi?
Yes. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you.
Richard. Customer assistance, item A.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning.
Commissioners. On July 13, 2022, the board approved the final readoption of Chapter 3 of the NJAC. Staff also proposed a substantial change to 14:3-3A.1D, which could not be made upon adoption. Therefore, staff requested approval of a notice of proposed substantial change upon adoption to proposed amendment to NJAC 14:3. The notice was published in the New Jersey Register on August 15, 2022, and the board received comments through October 14, 2022, and responded to each comment. The proposed amendments add language specifying that such notice may include, but not be limited to, the use of two or more of the following: mailings, text messages, email, telephone calls, door hangers, and/or in-person contact with the customer. It also adds language requiring the utility provide proof of such notice to staff upon request, and deleted existing language that otherwise would have allowed the utility to provide such notice to the extent reasonably possible. In response to the comments, staff proposes to keep that language. While it is important that customers be notified when a utility suspends service for any reason other than non-payment, and that two forms of notification is preferred, there are times that it is not reasonably possible, as prompt action may be necessary for the purposes of making repairs, complying with any governmental order, or mitigating unsafe conditions that may place customers and utility employees at risk. The amendment, as originally proposed, would impede the utility's ability to provide safe and reliable service. Staff recommends the board approve the notice of proposed substantial change upon adoption to proposed amendment NJAC 14:3-3A.1D, with the amendments to the rule becoming effective upon the filing with the New Jersey Office of Administrative Law.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Richard? Roll call, Madam Secretary.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christodoulou?
Yes.
President Fidelisa?
Yes. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
That brings us to clean energy, and Matt Rossi, you're up. Item 8A, which was discussed also in executive session.
Good morning again, Mr.
morning.
President, Commissioners. This matter involves the release of a request for quotation for services related to the design of the New Jersey Energy Storage Incentive Program, or NJSIP. On September 29th, 2022, staff issued a straw proposal presenting its preliminary recommendations for the design of the NJSIP, and subsequently conducted three stakeholder meetings. The NJSIP straw proposed the creation of two energy storage programs. One, incentives for standalone front-of-the-meter energy storage or grid supply physically connected to a New Jersey electric distribution company. And two, incentives for standalone behind-the-meter energy storage or distributed or customer level physically located on the premises of a customer receiving transmission and/or distribution services from a New Jersey EDC. Note that after receiving stakeholder feedback, staff is also considering incentivizing distributed solar plus storage systems. Staff seeks to hire a contractor to aid in the design of the NJSIP policies, development of the associated rules and regulations, and to coordinate with a contractor selected to administer the NJSIP, who will be selected in a subsequent RFQ. Staff recommends board approval to release the RFQ to hire a contractor to assist staff in the design of the proposed NJSIP, as discussed in executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
One
Yes.
comment, because you said that NJSIP, which is SIP, there's also a CIP, just so people don't get confused and want to be distinctive, which is also a wonderful program, but just wanted to highlight that.
Good, thank you. And the role of storage in our clean energy future cannot be understated. It will play a key role in balancing the grid and in ensuring the lights stay on. I'm pleased to see this work moving forward and to meet our statewide storage goals. I know my colleagues probably get the same questions I do when I go out and give a speech. Where are we as far as storage is concerned? And it's wonderful to see that we are moving forward in this direction, because it is a key to our mission statement of reliability. And we can't continue to progress with our clean energy initiatives and get them to a point where they can supply most of our energy without storage. So I want to thank you, Matt, Paul, and the team for your work on the storage program. So thank you. Any other comments, questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christodoulou?
Yes.
President Fidelis?
Yes, thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Stacy Richardson, item 8B. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners. Testing? Okay. I'm pleased to present to you today staff's recommendations for the second three-year program cycle, or triennium, of utility and state energy efficiency, or EE, programs implemented pursuant to New Jersey's Clean Energy Act of 2018, or CEA. These programs will run from July 2024 through June 2027. Using energy more efficiently is one of the easiest and most cost-effective strategies in our fight against the global climate crisis. New Jersey's EE programs play a central role in achieving the state's goal of 100% clean energy, while providing significant benefits to residents and businesses throughout the state and growing an inclusive clean energy workforce. The CEA emphasized the importance of EE and peak demand reduction, or PDR, and called upon New Jersey's electric and gas public utilities to play an increased role in delivering EE and PDR programs to their customers and reducing the use of electricity and natural gas in their service territories. On June 10, 2020, the board approved a transition framework for EE programs, including requirements for the utility's first triennial program cycle, which began in July 2021 and runs through June 2024. While the CEA is one of the primary drivers of EE programs in New Jersey, multiple other state laws and policy authorities also guide the board's establishment and continued development of the framework for New Jersey's EE programs, including the Global Warming Response Act and Executive Order 274, New Jersey's Energy Master Plan, and more recently, Executive Orders 315, 316, and 317. After proper notice, staff released straw proposals and held public stakeholder meetings in April on the following topics related to the Triennium 2 EE framework: program administration and design, filing and reporting requirements, cost recovery, EE as a resource, and evaluation, measurement, and verification of program performance and impacts, among others. Staff invited stakeholders to provide written comments on these topics by April 28th. Staff appreciates all of the thoughtful, thorough comments from stakeholders. We reviewed and considered all comments received throughout the process to develop and modify recommendations. We also will provide a summary of all comments and staff's responses as attachments to the board order on this matter. Staff's recommendations today pertain to certain but not all aspects of the EE Triennium 2 framework. We believe that it is important to take sufficient time to develop a thoughtful, comprehensive framework while being cognizant of the benefits of also affording sufficient time to the utilities to develop their program proposals, including in coordination with each other in preparation for Triennium 2. Staff will soon provide further recommendations on the remaining aspects of the Triennium 2 framework for integration into a consolidated set of requirements and guidance for Triennium 2. If approved, the Triennium 2 framework would require the utilities to administer a series of core programs that serve the residential, multifamily, and commercial and industrial sectors, and that are consistently available throughout the state. The programs would provide comprehensive EE opportunities for existing buildings, including in-depth energy assessments and incentives for whole building EE and electrification solutions. The programs would include specific opportunities for low and moderate income, or LMI customers, and customers living in overburdened communities, including tenants, through residential and multifamily programs, as well as for small commercial customers and public entities. In addition, the utilities would be allowed to propose to administer the Comfort Partners program, which provides EE upgrades to low-income households at no cost to the residents, with continued oversight by the BPU. The utilities could develop a proposed plan to deliver Comfort Partners in coordination with the utilities' moderate income weatherization programs, including attention to anticipated net cost savings and benefits for ratepayers, as well as attention to how the utilities would ensure continuation of sufficient budgets for the program. Overall, the utilities would file individual program proposals, but collaborate to consistently implement core programs. Coordinated program elements would include specific considerations for contractors, trade allies, and customers, so as to facilitate their participation in the programs. In areas where gas and electric service territories overlap, the utilities would propose a program structure designed to result in coordinated, consistent delivery of programs and would jointly plan and coordinate budgets. The state, through New Jersey's Clean Energy Program, or NJCEP, would continue to administer a series of complementary programs, including new construction EE for all building types. Workforce development is an important aspect of our EE initiatives. The utilities would continue to work in collaboration with the Workforce Development Working Group to support the development and implementation of workforce development and job training partnerships and pipelines that recruit, train, and employ residents for EE and decarbonization jobs, including local, underrepresented, and disadvantaged workers. Staff suggests a complementary approach between state-funded and utility-funded initiatives, including grants available through the New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce Development to recruit participants from overburdened communities to receive core employment and training services, such as workforce readiness and financial literacy instruction, wraparound supportive services, job coaching, and job placement services to facilitate entrance into the clean energy workforce. State-funded grants would also provide opportunities for intensive employment and training services, such as occupation skills training resulting in industry-recognized credentials and needs-based on-the-job training placements with employers intended to provide a bridge for participants into sustainable, unsubsidized employment. Utility-funded initiatives would include subsidized or no-cost training programs for workers to gain credentials, including certifications that are required for employment in EE and decarbonization jobs. With respect to program funding, staff plans to work with utility and state program administrators and rate counsel to determine how to most efficiently and effectively leverage additional funding from the U.S. Department of Energy, including Inflation Reduction Act efficiency and electrification rebates, to maximize the benefits of existing programs. Following receipt of U.S. DOE guidance and the opportunity to submit an application for this funding, staff will propose plans for feedback from public stakeholders for how to leverage additional funding, which may include adjustments to utility and state program design and delivery. Regarding filing requirements, the CEA states that each electric and gas public utility shall establish EE and PDR programs to be approved by the board no later than 30 days prior to the start of the energy year, which begins on June 1st every year. The utilities would submit 3-year program filings compliant with minimum filing requirements, or MFRs, by October 2nd, 2023, for approval by the board by May 1st, 2024, and implementation beginning July 1st, 2024. The utilities would jointly develop a consistent organizational structure with common elements in their filings to the greatest extent practicable. This will help to facilitate and expedite review by the board, rate counsel, and parties to each of the 7 utility filings. Staff will also endeavor to provide any notice of administrative deficiency as soon as possible so that a utility can promptly remedy any deficiencies. Staff recognizes that since each utility will not only be developing its own filing, but also collaborating with other utilities to develop common and coordinated elements of their filings, a utility may find it necessary to request an extension of time on the filing deadline, which staff will review and consider on a case-by-case basis.
Are you going to share that vodka?
It's only water, Mr. President, just like your water.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I learned that from you. Revisions to the MFRs applicable to utility filings would reallocate required information between the sections describing programs and portfolios, require consistent use of program cost categories, provide for a separate accounting of workforce development and job training costs, health and safety costs, and costs of outreach to community-based organizations, and include updates consistent with current New Jersey evaluation guidance documents and standards. Staff would also collaborate with the administrator of NJCEP to develop and file 3-year program plans with the board as part of the NJCEP annual budget process, with updates on an annual basis to confirm each year's program budget. Regarding cost recovery, utilities program administration expenses would continue to be examined for reasonableness and prudency as part of the utilities annual petitions for cost recovery. Most utility program investments would be amortized over a time period that aligns with the weighted average useful life of each utility's proposed portfolio, with this period not to exceed 10 years. The parties to each filing and stakeholders would be allowed to explore shorter amortization periods to align with the state's energy policy goals, as set forth in the Energy Master Plan and Executive Orders 316 and 317. The practice of not establishing an absolute cap on customer distribution rates or bills associated with EE and PDR investments would continue, but staff would closely monitor rate impacts through annual cost recovery petitions and evaluate the need for a cap on rates or customer bill impacts through annual or during the triennial review period. The CEA calls for utilities to file for the revenue impacts of sales losses resulting from the implementation of EE and PDR programs. The utilities would continue to be able to file for and recover lost revenues in the amount that they can demonstrate were attributable to their EE and PDR programs. Regarding EE as a resource, staff acknowledges that participation in the PJM forward capacity market benefits New Jersey customers by obtaining revenues that offset EE and PDR program costs. The electric utilities would continue to offer into the PJM forward capacity market eligible EE measures and their associated peak reduction values from projects that they have led. Regarding the effective evaluation, measurement, and verification, or EM&V, of energy usage reductions and peak demand reductions achieved by the EE programs, the EM&V working group, which is facilitated by the statewide evaluator, brings together staff, rate counsel, the utilities, technical evaluation contractors, and program implementation contractors. The working group collaborates to develop a standard, transparent, and replicable approach for evaluating, measuring, and verifying the results of EE and PDR programs implemented pursuant to the CEA. The statewide evaluator has led the development of a New Jersey Energy Efficiency Triennium 2 evaluation framework that describes the roles and responsibilities of the entities participating in the EM&V of the programs and outlines the activities, products, and processes that guide the EM&V of the programs. Also, the statewide evaluator has developed an evaluation studies list and plan for Triennium 2 that will be updated at least annually based on changing priorities and new study and topic needs in accordance with the evaluation framework. To evaluate energy savings, a triennial technical reference manual, or TRM, would be established prior to the start of each triennium, and an annual TRM update would be completed in the intervening years. The recommended Triennium 2 TRM, which will be included as an attachment to the board order on this matter, includes an appendix for net to gross factors and appendices on realization rates and service rates and other topics. To estimate benefits and costs of the programs, a Triennium 2 New Jersey cost test would be the primary cost effectiveness test. Staff believes that this Triennium 2 cost test, which is also included as an attachment to this board order on this matter, strikes a balanced and reasonable approach to accounting for the costs and benefits of EE programs, and notes that the EM&V Working Group and New Jersey Cost Test Committee will continue to identify, research, and evaluate future changes to the New Jersey cost test. For reporting requirements, utility and state program administrators would submit public quarterly, annual, and triennial progress reports. The state would aggregate the data from utility and state programs and produce semi-annual and annual public reports on the performance and progress of all EE and PDR programs, including associated greenhouse gas emission reductions. Every 3 years ahead of each utility filing cycle, staff would continue to undertake a triennial review process and provide recommendations on energy savings targets, quantitative performance indicators and their weighting structure, performance incentives and penalties, cost recovery mechanisms, and program administration and design for the subsequent triennium. To further refine program design details during Triennium 2, staff will continue to utilize the ongoing utility working group meetings, as well as the current workforce development, equity, EM&V, and marketing working groups. At the same time, staff will explore possible changes to expand opportunities for stakeholder engagement starting in Triennium 1. These comprise staff's recommendations on program administration and design, filing and reporting requirements, cost recovery, EE as a resource, and EM&V for the second triennium of New Jersey's EE programs. I'd like to acknowledge that these recommendations are the result of extensive discussions, contributions from, and collaboration among Rate Council, the utilities, statewide evaluator team, TRC, Rutgers Center for Green Building, Economist Office, Legal Division, Division of Law, Energy and Water Division, Division of State Energy Services, Division of Clean Energy, senior staff, and others, as well as the countless stakeholders who continue to help us to make New Jersey's EE programs the best that they can be. Thank you for the opportunity to present these EE Triennium 2 framework recommendations.
Thank you. And after that presentation, you should take the rest of the day off.
I was going to ask if she could repeat that. I'll move it.
Second.
The cleanest and the cheapest energy is the energy we don't use. And the energy efficiency unit within the Division of Clean Energy is doing a magnificent job, particularly in conjunction with our utilities. Most of our utilities are very aggressive. I see a representative here today, Joe Accardo from PSE&G. PSE&G has been very active in energy efficiency programs. We see programs like Comfort Partners as an example, where we go primarily into underserved communities to do a energy audit and to upgrade the energy efficiency of a home. As a matter of fact, we just had something a couple of weeks ago, and which marked, I always have trouble saying this, the 125,000th home that took advantage, did I say that right? Yes. That took advantage of Comfort Partners. And that's a pretty remarkable record, 125,000, mostly in our underserved communities. And people have to qualify with this and for this and work with the local utility, work with us, and so on. This one happened to be a PSE&G project, and they had nothing but praise for our program and for public service. So, wonderful job, and it's like everything else. It comes with a price tag, but one that is going to eventually pay off. Just like all of our clean energy initiatives will see a reduction in cost as we continue along, just as solar has over the years. So we're doing work that is vitally important, but we're also bringing in folks who may not be able to afford to participate in the clean energy revolution that we're experiencing today. I testified yesterday before the Senate Budget Committee, which is a yearly routine, and I testified before the Assembly Budget Committee the week before, and there are folks who question how effective we are, and it's our job to continue to show how effective we are and how people throughout the state of New Jersey are taking advantage of our programs. And I think the aggressiveness of our marketing plan, and in some instances I would like to see it more aggressive, and the work of our staff really makes what we do a success. So thank you. Any other comments?
Just one.
Yes?
Yeah. From the outset, yeah, this is the biggest bang for your buck. You know, Ralph Fizel used to give a great speech, you know, with all due respect to solar, but when you take the amount of money spent for energy efficiency as opposed to, other types of ways of reducing greenhouse gases and the like. This is still the biggest bang for your buck. And, something that we have to, in addition to keep moving forward with these programs, what we get a lot and what we need to keep an eye on too is to make sure that these programs can be streamlined. I still get responses from contractors and folks that it's too much of a hassle to do the paperwork and to, file to get the incentive. We need to, continue, and I know you are, to make it as seamless as possible for folks to participate.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
On a motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal Doolin?
Yes.
President Federlisi?
Yes. Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you.
Good job. Diane Watson. 8C.
Good morning, Mr. President
Good
and
morning.
Commissioners. This item relates to a subsection T application from Infinity Energy to have its project at the Vineland City South Mill Road sanitary landfill site certified as being located on a properly closed sanitary landfill pursuant to subsection T of the Solar Act of 2012. The applicant's proposed 14.9962 megawatt DC project is to be located on 37.7 acres at the Vineland City South Mill Road sanitary landfill site in Vineland City, Cumberland County, New Jersey. Staff reviewed the application and supplied a copy to the DEP for their review. Staff received an advisory memo on the application where the DEP determined that the Infinity Energy project is located on property defined as a properly closed sanitary landfill consistent with the Solar Act of 2012. DEP also provided specific conditions and requirements for permits and approvals that the project must satisfy. So based on the review of the application and the advisory memo provided by DEP, staff recommends the following 3 items. That the board grant conditional certification of the Infinity Energy project as proposed for the Vineland City South Mill Road landfill site on property defined as a properly closed sanitary landfill consistent with the Solar Act of 2012. That the board find the conditions for certification provided by the DEP be fully documented as satisfied by the applicant prior to staff's issuance of full certification, and that the board direct the applicant to file its TREC registration within 14 days of the date of the order.
So moved.
Second.
The use of landfills, brownfields are magnificent. It serves so many purposes, not only to put a solar array up, but to ensure the fact that these are sealed, so to speak, and closed, and so on. So it provides multiple uses and or benefits, I should say. So thank you. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal Doolin?
Yes.
President Federlisi?
Yes. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Jim Ferris?
In June 2019, the board approved the application 100 megawatt project Ocean Wind 1, or the project, or Ørsted, maintained a 100 per PSEG renewable, retained the right to SEG renewable and Ocean Wind, sought board approval for one, the board approved the acquisition. EG Renewables intent to transfer its 25% ownership in the project back to Ørsted. The reversion of the 25% ownership back to Ørsted would result in Ørsted once again holding a 100% equity ownership interest in the project. The same ownership interest, sorry, I lost my place, the same ownership interest in the project that Ørsted maintained at the time of the project award. There is no impact to ratepayers because of this transfer of ownership, nor is there an impact to the development, construction, or operation of the project. As a 100% equity owner of the project, Ørsted remains subject to all board orders, rules, and laws applicable to the project. Staff recommends that the board find the transfer of ownership in the project to be reasonable and in accordance with the law, and staff recommends that the board approve the transfer of PSEG Renewables ownership in the project back to Ørsted.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Yes.
Just to confirm, Jim, and neither party has any financial benefit or loss that they can claim on accounting practices or anything. This is a complete wash, zero transactions, $0 values all the way across the board.
Commissioner, I am not aware whether that is correct or not.
Maybe we can find out.
Yes, I'm sure we can.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal Delou?
Yes.
President Fiordaliso?
Yes. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And once you find out that information, if you can forward it.
Yes, I will.
Thank you. Paul? Department of Law, you have items 8E and 8F.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
So on September 28th, 2022, the board granted Ocean Wind LLC's petition with the board seeking a determination that certain easements across properties owned by the city of Ocean City and certain consents needed from the city for certain environmental permits were reasonably necessary for the construction and operation of the Ocean Wind qualified offshore wind project. Ocean City filed an appeal to this order on November 11, 2022. The New Jersey Division of Rate Counsel is a party in that appeal. New Jersey court rules require a respondent agency, here the Board of Public Utilities, to file a statement of items comprised in the record. This document notifies the appellate court and all parties of the on-file record materials the agency considered in its decision-making. On behalf of the Board of Public Utilities, the New Jersey Division of Law filed the statement with the court on January 11th, 2023. Rate Counsel then filed a motion here at the board to contest two items in the statement. Rate Counsel's informal discovery request to Ocean Wind and Ocean Wind's responses. Rate Counsel argues that they are not part of the record and should be removed. Rate Counsel argues that the informal discovery questions were issued outside the procedural schedule and were not moved into the record for the board's consideration. Ocean Wind opposed the motion, noting that the informal discovery questions and responses were sent to the docket service list, including the board secretary, referenced in later testimony and arguments by Rate Counsel and Ocean Wind, and referenced by the board's September 28th order itself. Here, staff recommends that Rate Counsel's motion be granted.
So moved.
Second.
I might mention the fact that this also was discussed in executive session thoroughly. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please. Yes.
Comment. I just wanted to reiterate, comments I had made when we were talking about the fullness of the record, previously, I think in my dissent, Kate Matter had mentioned this, and this is just another indication of the fact that, really we could have had a more robust record on which to rely, moving forward, and that was the, basis of my concern, but we'll see what the appellate division does. But, this, certainly I agree with Rate Counsel that, having not agreed to have a more full record, we shouldn't be taking these documents at this time, so I agree with your recommendation.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Crystal Delou?
Yes.
President Fiordaliso?
Yes. And then item F, which was also discussed in executive session in detail.
Yes, item F, which also relates to the Ocean City appeal. So to not To not rehash much of the procedural schedule, I'll jump to it. So before the board now is Ocean City's motion to stay the board September 28th, 2022 order. And the motion was filed on April 3rd, 2023. In its motion, Ocean City acknowledged that Ocean Wind submitted to Ocean City Engineering Department an application for a road opening permit within 35th Street in Ocean City that would allow for environmental investigation borings and utility test pits. Ocean City contends that Ocean Wind's application is premature, given the pending appeal, or the reasonableness of Ocean Wind's route selection for power lines is going to be under review. A stay, according to Ocean City, would protect the city's residents from unwarranted environmental investigation and testing along the route. In response, Ocean Wind explains that Ocean City's motion fails the legal standard for a stay established by the New Jersey Supreme Court in Crow v. DeGoya. Further, the New Jersey Supreme Court has stated that the movement has the burden of proof under the clear and convincing standard to show that a stay meets the Crow standard. Staff recommends that Ocean City's motion for stay be denied.
So moved.
Second.
Comments? Questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christodoulou?
Yes.
President Fidelis?
Yes. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Mr. President, Commissioners.
Kevin?
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Kevin.
Morning. This item
I'm not
pertains...
going to cheese you this morning. Don't take it personally, all right?
I'll try not to, sir.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. This item pertains to a stipulation for Public Service Electric and Gas's Clean Energy Future Energy Efficiency, or CEF-EE filing. On June 10th, 2020, the Board approved the Energy Efficiency Transition Framework for the EE programs implemented pursuant to the New Jersey Clean Energy Act of 2018. On September 23rd, 2020, the Board adopted a stipulation of settlement for the implementation of PSE&G's CEF-EE filing. This program was approved from October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2023, and included 10 subprograms. It was allocated an overall budget of $1.003 billion plus 10% for administrative expenses, or $100.3 million. On May 8th, 2023, a stipulation was executed to extend the CEF-EE program an additional 9 months through June 30th, 2024. This will align the CEF-EE program with the EE programs offered by the other utilities, which also run through June 30th, 2024. Additionally, this stipulation will allow the CEF-EE electric program to serve customers that have PSE&G as their gas utility, but have Butler Electric Company as their electric utility. This extension is for $280.3 million in program funds, along with an additional 10% or $28 million for administrative expenses. This will bring total program investment to $1.284 billion and the total administrative budget to $129.5 million. This extension will further allow the company to shift money between program funds in order to match customer demand. There are no immediate rate impacts as a result of this stipulation. PSE&G estimated that, once in rates, the initial incremental impact on a typical residential electric customer using approximately 740 kilowatt hours in a summer month and 6,920 kilowatt hours annually would see a decrease of 1 penny, or 0.01% in their monthly bill. For a typical residential gas customer using 172 therms in a winter month and 1,040 therms annually, PSE&G estimated the initial incremental decrease of 38 cents per month, or 0.3% of their monthly bill. Staff recommends that the Board approve the stipulation for the CEF-EE program.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Just to focus one more time on the significance that we're placing, not just in words, but there are a lot of zeros involved with this. Actually, growing number of commas as well, that's how big a number. So this is how much we're emphasizing energy efficiency and how much responsibility we place on the people who are actually controlling these budgets. So with that, I just want to encourage everybody who's going to be taking these funds and allocating them to make sure that they really watch what they're doing, because we will be.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
On a motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Christodoulou?
Yes.
President Federowicz?
Yes. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, sir.
That was our last item. There are no items under miscellaneous. Before we adjourn, do any of my colleagues have any statements or comments they want to make?
Just to wish Commissioner Solomon all the very best of luck in pickleball with her children, grandchildren, and all your future endeavors.
Wedding.
And wedding.
There you go. Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.